So today's session, we're going to be covering about automation. And now what is that? I'm going to be babbling on about that term a lot. So let's just actually figure out, well, what is the definition of automating and automation itself? So automation is streamlining processes. It allows you to save time and resources. Essentially, it's when you set up something that is autonomous, that runs itself to get rid of a lot of the legwork that you have to do as an individual. So that can be through code, that can be through things like Zapier, that can be things through even still trying to think of hardware solutions for automations, but there's a whole bunch. And end of the day, the main goal is to increase productivity and output, and a lot of times increase accuracy. Because when we rely on tools that allow us to automate things, we can set the parameters once, and we know that they're always going to execute as and such that we do, and we set them out to be. So again, put simply, in the case of this session, we'll be looking at how we can leverage Gen AI to increase our efficiency. Now, over the next two sessions, this week and next week, we're going to be looking at two aspects, planning and processing. And these are the two areas where in which Gen AI can really help boost our productivity. I've received emails from previous members of our previous cohorts, where in which they've been telling me that we had an individual from CBRE who was got in contact and said that feels like he's light years ahead of his colleagues. I mean, I just says a bit selfish, so we're having a conversation about where we can upskill his colleagues so that it's not just all for him to enjoy, but there really are a lot of ways that we can leverage, and we're going to be going through that in today's session when it comes to using AI tools. But for this week, we're going to be looking at the planning aspect. So remembering that there's always two elements when it comes to automation. First of all is the planning aspect. So that can be either data aggregation. So let's say you want to do some market research. You then want to instead actually say, hey, I need to pass through a bunch of emails and I want to extrapolate certain information to then feed into something else as such. Well, planning element always has to come first. I mean, you plan once and you never have to, iterate twice if you plan very well. And so the first thing that we're going to be looking at is a tool called Perplexity. But before we go into that, I just want to talk everyone through our 5 components of writing effective prompts. Now, if you weren't here for session 2, that's completely fine. This will come in handy, but just to reiterate, we have the context, task, instructions, clarification, and refining things. So just keep those in your mind. If this is your first session, welcome. Do not worry, you don't need to memorize these, but do take a look at session 2 in the content center that, provided you've checked in, you will receive the link to in our recap emails. And so starting off, we're going to be looking at this really cool tool called Perplexity. And I'm just going to take the link and I'm going to share it in the chat. So, and if I can get a thumbs up once everyone's opened it, you don't need to create an account. I've created one here in the bottom, but you don't need to create an account to use it. All you need to do is open it up. And if you can just put a thumbs up in the chat afterwards. Perfect. Thank you, Tonya. Thank you, Pauline. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Stephanie. Give it about a couple more seconds. Greg sorted. Sandy's done. Wonderful. So we're now stepping outside of the confines of the two behemoths when it comes to AI tools. And previous weeks, we've looked at them, first being ChatGPT and the other one being Gemini. And those really do dominate the AI landscape. Leanne, just to mention, if you can't access the link at work, not to worry, I do still recommend that you still hang about because it will be a lot easier for you to catch up in the session recordings and hopefully you'll be able to pick up like you said, lurking today, pick up a bit of knowledge. So the great thing about Perplexity is that it's actually hailed as a rival to tools such as ChatGPT. This isn't Bard, it's now Gemini. I'll quickly just change that as they rebranded a couple months ago. And Gemini, I think that's right how you spell it. Gemini. Hey ho, I'll come back to spelling later. I'll get AI to fix it. But essentially, it allows us to use fast and broad research capabilities with extensive referencing. So for those of you who were in our session when it came to extensions for our browsing experience, so we looked at Google plugins or add-on or Chrome extensions, we looked at something called Waldo, and that allowed us to go into documents and actually take a particular news article and then we could say, well, this particular line references another study or another piece of work. Can we automate the process of actually finding that piece of information or finding what this segment automates? And the really cool thing about Perplexity, there's a lot of controversy and reservations held around where these AI tools get their knowledge from. But the cool thing about Perplexity is that it allows for fast and broad research capabilities with extensive referencing. So, for example, if I was to come to here, um, who can give me a little search prompt, something to look up for? Something that could be you've researched recently, you needed to do it for either work or personal reasons and whatnot. Food safety. So can we get a more concrete question that we want to actually ask? So ski areas in Utah. So, okay, let's take Leanne's suggestion and which are the best ski areas in Utah? Anyone want to add in any sort of curveballs to see how far we can push this? No, no takers. Okay, we'll leave it at that then. And anyway, oh, I said Utah. Uh, well, see, the AI has already picked it up. And as we can see here, we've already got that. Well, this is news to me that Utah is renowned for its exceptional ski resorts, offering a diverse range of terrains and experiences. And we've got rankings. But immediately there, it's already quite available to see that, hey, well, we wanted to get to an endpoint and we've been given a list of ratings. So as you can see here, it's organized. It's not organized in ascending or descending orders, but we can refine our answer to do that. But with each suggestion that's been given, we've also been given these sort of references here. So as we can see here, the Park City Mountain Resort, we can see that it's got a reference here and that links to this article that was published in last May. Oh, sorry, May 2022. And we can see where it got the information from. And as such, this provides a wealth of depth that we can actually engage with information as such. And bear in mind, this works as a normal large language model. So we can also ask a follow-up. So I believe that well, laptop, I'm not sure who that is, but they said about which ski resorts allow pets. So what about those that allow pets? And so as we can see here, we've narrowed down the question a bit further. So we've gone from what's the best ski areas, and then we said, well, what about the ones that allow pets? And already we can see that we've got 3 or 4 pet-friendly ski areas in Utah. So already this opens up a wealth of opportunity for us to actually leverage AI as tools as such. But for the first thing that I would like you all to do is if you can create a meeting agenda based on something that you might have know already. So for example, it can be a case where let's say we're taking this to our board members for whatever reason, because there's a company retreat all the way to Utah ski resorts, right? But at the end of the day, how can we actually combine that research element with actually us having something that's practical that we can give and just save a whole bunch of work? So if you can actually create a meeting agenda based on a research prompt that you need information on, or it can be something around, it can be something particularly random or very something quite specific to your day and something that you've done earlier in the day. And so once you've done that, not forgetting the 5 key elements when it comes to writing prompts. And if you can just copy and paste sort of, well, not you have to copy and paste it, but just share what you got in the chat. And that'd be really helpful to hear as such. If anyone has any questions at the moment, I'm happy to take some. So Chrissy asked, can you narrow where the answers come from? You can, Chrissy. As we can see here, we can see what the actual information that was taken, ingested, and then given to us, and where the sources are by sort of clicking at the top here. We can see the sources. We get a list of them here, and we also get within the answer itself where in which it's used said sources. And so if you can, let me know once you guys have created that meeting agenda and what you got out of it. What did you think about it? Did it help? Sandy's gone with our it's very helpful for a C-suite executive discussion on potential ski resort acquisitions. Wow, big moves. That's cool to hear. Has anyone done anything that's not ski related, not snow related? It'd be really cool to hear. Not to worry, not to worry. So Gerard used a strategy discussion about cybersecurity. Chris is here for the virtual popcorn. Fair enough. That's cool. So the agenda runs 10 items, Gerard. Definitely. That's one of the positives when it comes to the wealth of knowledge that it has access to. And so, hey, but you may want to refine actually and say, well, we just want to use um, five items for our agenda. Emil, not to worry. You'll get the update at the end, provided you've checked in and whatnot. Ondina, you don't need to share the answer. Just let us know how you found it. Was it helpful? Was it useful? And what meeting did you generate? All right. Conscious of time. So as we 20 past, if I can get a thumbs up once everyone's completed with that. Wonderful. All right then. So let's crack on then. So again, let's just recap sort of the best practices when it comes to using large language models for research. Now, these very much mirror um, best practices when it comes to writing prompts for AI models in general. But going through them, first of all, be specific. End of the day, using a clearly defined query is really, really helpful and will actually dictate the quality of answer you get. The more specific you are, the more relevant your responses will be. So definitely use precise terms and details wherever you can. Context is key. Context is sort of found fundamental for getting a great response out of a large language model. So in this case, when it comes to setting the background for I think oh sorry I think one of the elements were C-suite board meeting for acquisitions of ski resorts. Well, maybe setting the climate in terms of where we at with the climate. Do you want it to actually understand the current economic climate in Utah? Do you want it to actually understand, well, what are the I don't know, the snowfall predictions for the next few years and how that can interweave with that acquisition deal? Really trying to give as much context and much information to the large language model within your prompt. And obviously, we can refine, but it's easy to do it at the jump. Using keywords, again, this sort of goes hand in hand with context. Relevant keywords do massively boost the likelihood of you getting a relevant answer, and then structuring it. So we've looked in the past few weeks where in which we can actually say to a large language model, how do we want the output to be? How do we want things to be given? How do we want things to be structured and whatnot? And saves us time formatting things because hey, the whole reason for this that we're doing this is automation at the end of the day. So how can we go down that route? And then iterate. If you don't get the right response first time, give some feedback. Try it again. Go again. Go again. Go again. And I think that's really, really important for us to know about. So given that, I've got another task. Now, I highly doubt we have anyone who is a product manager. If we do, welcome. But I highly doubt we have anyone experienced in generating a mobile brief generating a brief for a mobile app. So yeah, if everyone can actually have a go at this, and hey, let me know what you come up with. You can put whatever app you want. You can look at market trends. But if you can now take in those five things that we looked at in terms of writing prompts for research, please can you generate a brief for a mobile app? On Dina, is there a limit to how long and detailed the prompt is? Typically, no, but I'd be surprised if you were to create a prompt that was longer than 500 words. Um, I think the rule of thumb is less than a A4 piece of paper. But a lot of times, the whole point of crafting effective prompts is that you're actually able to convey the correct information in a short amount of text. But that's a skill and a muscle that we practice week over week and will come with time. But short answer, no, you shouldn't really encounter any prompts. Yamil asks, what application are we using this for? Is that in terms of the Yamil, what do you mean? I'm a bit lost. Joanne, aren't the prompts supposed to be 100 words or less? Um, Not that I've seen in regards to Perplexity. I might be wrong if a counter pops up. But typically, I mean, right now, I highly doubt you'll be adding a prompt that is longer than 100 words. I've yet to see someone come up with that. And a lot of times it's more people copy and pasting things from documents into prompts, which isn't very ethical and very data safe, but we'll be talking about that next week. Oh, Yamil. Yep, that's a really good question, and I will share it to you in the chat. I completely forgot you came in late. Apologies. So there it is. It's called Perplexity AI. You don't need an account. Just literally bring up the page and you should be able to jump in. And so um once you have completed the task, can you please let me know yeah, what kind of mobile app did you generate? What kind of brief did you get? Did you get something from the top 10? Are you gonna actually now gonna go hire out a team of devs and build an app? So it'd be really cool to hear what sort of mobile apps you came up with, and was it useful? Do you think you could actually take it and go ahead with, actually setting out to build the app, despite, you may not have coding knowledge whatsoever? So it'd be cool to hear everyone's thoughts and things. Um, all right then. So if I can get a thumbs up once everyone has generate their brief or a mobile app, that'd be really helpful. And then we can continue on to the next tool. And also please do share in the chat whether you found it useful or not. I think it's really important for people to see. You can help other people who might be stuck with some ideas of what type of mobile app they should generate. Did you find it useful? Did you not find it useful? I think that's really important to get that feedback. So Gerard says, I think I've broken the large language model, still thinking probably my poor description. Not to worry, Gerard, that happens. That could be related to the fact that of your internet. As Perplexity is very powerful, it could just be a internet issue. So I'd be very surprised if your large language model, sorry, you broke the large language model. But hey, if you did that, that's a first for me. So congratulations. That's always really cool um, to hear. So Greg said, generate a brief for a mobile banking app, and it was amazingly detailed. That's really cool to hear. Um, Laurie said, very useful, generated a brief for a mobile app for planters. That's really cool. Cool. So hopefully we're starting to see now the capabilities of sort of cutting down those hours, if not days of research that, do require us to go out and find information to really do speed up our time. Really do, sorry, save our time. But let's say actually, let me say if I open up a new thing. Right. So let's say then I have a more meaty task. And let's say in this case, it's something which is you know, something that I'm a car salesman in South California, for example, and I need to find out all the details for the biggest competitors. So let's say I'll write that prompt. I need to know the biggest competitors in the car sales market in Southern California. Um, only focus on those from 2022 to, oh, sorry, 2023 to 2024. So already here we can see that we've got a bit of information that's going to be generating up. It does seem that Perplexity is slowing down, which that might be due to Gerard's potentially crashing it, but I'm sure that doesn't actually have an issue. Great way to check when this sort of stuff is happening, everyone, is if you head over to a new tab and you type in Perplexity AI, and at the end of it you start status. You tend to be brought up with a status website, and a lot of times you just click on this and we can see that nothing's come up, so we should be fine. So we head back here. No, see that doesn't really going to work, but that's fine. So I guess the reason as to that's the reason why some people still haven't received an answer on their briefs, because as we're going through this session, it seems that well, Perplexity has crashed a little bit, but that might be because we're giving it we've given it a run for its money. But let's say, for example, then we then have we have this element that we want to actually, I'm just going to present it from here. We have this element where we need to get to our further answers without having to refine, because bear in mind, refining our prompts, you may not actually give a prompt that is per se the best initially, so you have to go back and forth and back and forth, and you keep going by this ladder, and this process of refinement is quite laborious in its own sense, and it's something which uh, I mean, hey, I didn't get AI to make this, but so excuse my poor diagrams, but you get the gist, right? We have to send a query after a query, process the output and whatnot, and output and whatnot, and it's really difficult at times. So this is where we can actually employ the usage of the next step when it comes to automation, and those are AI agents. Now, they're not an individual, they're not a, actual person. The illustration on the right is not what an AI agent is, but it's what AI thinks it is, if you can wrap your head around that. But essentially, AI agents are like smart robots and computer programs that can understand what's happening around them and make decisions to reach a specific goal. They can be in the form of software, or they can be on a computer, or they can be actual robots. So, you actually have like mechanical hardware. And they use special tools like things such as cameras, microphones to notice their environment, particularly when they're in a physical form. So then they think about what they've noticed, and using a set of rules or learn knowledge, they then figure out what to do next. And essentially, they keep pushing towards that set goal. And so essentially, the way you can think about it is that it's a dedicated piece of program that will not stop at anything until it has reached, or within reason, until it's reached a particular goal or task that you have set it out to be. Now, end of the day, this sounds super, super complicated and something that we may think is way beyond the scope of us possible for us to actually have access to. But there's a really cool tool called Agent GPT, which I will just share in the chat here. And if you can head on there, you don't need to pay for it, but if you can create a account on there, it allows you to actually utilize the features for this as such, and you'll be able to access this for free. So if you put a thumbs up once you've done that, and then I'll explain what Agent GPT is and how we can get it to, work in our favor. Wonderful, Laura. Perfect. Sunny's ready. Gerard's ready. So is Pauline. Not to worry if you can't access it. As always, you can catch up in the content center. You can access a link there, and then definitely follow along when it comes to catching up by the recordings. But I do recommend you still stick around so that you can follow along. As such, Leanne's still here, still lurking with virtual popcorn. All right, then give it another 10, 15 seconds. And Jennifer. All right then. So I assume everyone's gone ahead and created an account and now sees this screen where they can see their login details in the bottom left-hand corner and whatnot. And so what is Agent GPT? Well, essentially it allows us to deploy, and I use this word deploy in the most loose senses, we'll see in a second, autonomous AI agents that allow, that are configurable and customizable by our users, by the users, so by us. And we can get them to do various things. So, for example, answering certain questions or writing code or deploying new agents. And what it does is that it leverages large language models to generate a task list. It will then execute them iteratively, evaluate the sub actions within that task list. So, for example, let's say it's researching the rubber duck market of 2024. Well, within there, we need to look at the global realm. And then within there, we need to look at other elements of sales, marketing, sort of decline in the industry of such. But then essentially what means is that the agent GPT can then be used as a personal assistant in areas like data analytics, automation. We're seeing elements where it's actually in customer service. And I'll give you guys a really cool hack around how you can tell if someone or something is AI and you're not too sure. I'll give you a little hack at the end. So stick around for that. Content creation, research analysis, and wherever autonomous operation is preferred. So for example, let's say, in here, in Agent GPT, we want to get let's say, it gives us these pre-filled elements. So we can say the research GPT, and we've asked it to create a comprehensive report of the night company. And already we can see that it's shooting off. So we have here that it's segmented our main task into 5 different things. So it's gathering information about Nike's history, researching and analyzing Nike's. It's Nike, by the way, not Nike, just let you Americans know. But anyway, we'll go on that into another day. But it's examining the marketing strategy, it's looking at, and it's then compiling all information gathered. And as you can see here, he keeps running this. And as you'll notice here at the top of if I just zoom in here, for everyone to see, at the top of here, you'll see that if I can scroll up, you see it's out of 5, and there's a cap, there's a limit as to how many times we can run this. So it will keep running, it will keep running, it will keep running, and at a certain point, it will execute. So as we can see here, we've now got their financial performance analysis. We've got all the references, so very similar going back to Perplexity. We can see here, well, where it's done, at one point, it's just given us the biggest competitors in the car sales market in Southern California. It's just got us this, I guess, top level bit of information. But then but then here, where we have here, as you can see, it stops after 5 loops. So every time it comes back, looks at information, keeps going, then stops. And again, then gives us this ability to summarize information where we can, and we get this nice, well comprehensive report overview that we can actually take. We can feed this into ChatGPT, we can feed this into something else as such, and we have all the various different references that is found, and we have all the different sources, and yeah, all in all, that took what, about 30 seconds, if that. So, given that, I have a really important question, and it's something that I've been, dwelling on for a long, long time. Education and technical upskilling is one of my passions. However, I do want to ask if you can figure out, and this is for personal and selfish gains only, using Agent GPT, whether I say you, but it's me, should start a rubber duck company in 2024. So again, given the fact that Agent GPT is able to break down the task for us, we don't need to necessarily write such a long prompt, but we can make sure that it has strategic bits of information using keywords as such. Joanne has said yes as always, but Joanne, I can't take that as, excuse me, as fact, because at the same time, we need to know what Agent GPT says. Because hey, I'm going to be putting my whole 10 Great British pounds on the line to start a rubber duck business. So if you can figure that out, as we have a remaining 8 minutes, and then yeah, share your thoughts, and yeah, be good to hear. And as always, if anyone needs to, please do feel free to pop any questions you may have in the chat, whilst everyone is working on the task. And so please can you ensure that once you've got your answer, if you can let me know in the chat, whether we should be starting a rubber duck business, call it the Ducks, Codex Ducks, Codex Rubber Ducks. I'm not sure. Leanne says if partnering with Jeep, then definitely yes. Craig says no what Ernie from Sesame Street says. Um, Ondina says, are there other agents other than Agent GPT? For now, there's nothing that we recommend. Agent GPT is the one that we found is something that is free to use, at least for a limited number of times. So we always try to recommend free to use tools first, and then if you find any and they fit your personal preference, by all means, switch over to them. But we always recommend, almost really going to town on the free to use platforms, plans, and then afterwards you can then, make that monetary decision. Because at the end of the day, we strongly believe that these resources should be free of charge. So Leon says if partnering with Jeep, then definitely yes. But did Agent GPT give you that information? I don't know. So can anyone give me a concrete answer as to whether or not I am dropping Codex tomorrow to start a rubber duck company in 2024? Okay. So Greg says that his agent, based on the comprehensive evaluation of the market demand, potential competition, and financial feasibility, um, it's a viable and potentially profitable venture. But Leanne says, well, don't give up your day job. Um, get a bit of conflicting elements. Has anyone else got any outputs and whatnot they want to share? Anything that their agents gave back to them? No, nothing. Okay, well, I guess then. Oh, Tonya says, I don't have any information whether starting a. Oh, so it gave you a politician's answer. Well, I think there's something that we're actually going to be covering next week about the morality and I guess how do I say morality and confidence of AI tools. So I think you brought up a really good point, Tonya, indirectly. But at the same time, it's a bit weird that he didn't say yes or no, because normally when these sessions roll around, there's like a resounding number of no's. Um, Ondina, will agent or ChatGPT give the same answer exactly twice? Very rarely will it give verbatim the same answer. Very rarely word for word, but it's something which can happen every now and again if the conditions are right. So, Joanne got an I don't know. Damn. Well, I guess we're gonna have to go with Greg's suggestion. And hey, well, I'll keep you all updated with my rubber duck company, and we'll see how it goes. All right then. So wrapping up today, this week we looked at planning, and next week we're going to be looking at processing element, and that's actually going to be well, what do we do after we have this said data, or what can we didn't look at things such as well, how can we automate large data sets so that we can actually turn large language models into our own personal data analytics tools and whatnot. And it's something that I really do recommend coming along to. It's really powerful and whatnot as such. But yeah, but that sort of covers it all. Final thoughts, again, using AI can drastically enhance our efficiency for when it comes to generating sort of information or gathering information and generating analysis of them, of said data. But by automating data collection analysis, it allows us to dedicate more time for interpreting the results and making more data-driven decisions, which many companies are sort of realizing slowly over time that AI can really help to leverage. Additionally, AI tools can be customized to suit a specific research need, enhancing the relevance and the focus of the outcomes. But there's one thing that we do need to consider, and that's the ethical considerations, especially including the issues of privacy, consent, and data security. But that's something that we're going to be touching upon next week. So please, please, please do ensure that you come along next week, and we'll be looking at how we can basically convert things like ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, and all other tools into our own data analysts, but do it in a safe way that doesn't get us, well, in trouble with the law. And so that's all for this week. As always, if you have any questions, please do feel free to come off mute, pop it in the chat. If not, I hope you have a wonderful Friday, an incredible weekend, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. My pleasure. I'm really glad to hear that, Jennifer. And well, kudos to those who lurked in the background with their virtual popcorn. Many thanks for sticking around. And yeah, Jennifer, I will definitely put the check in again. Thank you, Gerard. Apologies for today's session, everyone. I know I wasn't on point as I normally am. Just this pesky stall at the market outside the office just kind of got me. Um, and hey, alas, it is what it is. Um, Thank you, Tonya. Jennifer, if you scan that QR code, you'll be able to check in for today's session. My pleasure. As always, everyone, if you have any questions, please do feel free to come off mute now. Alternatively, you can get in touch by replying back to the weekly calls or weekly emails that I send. Jennifer, if you email me at faisal@codingwithcodex.co.uk, I'll just pop it in the chat. .uk. Coding me, code. Yep. If you just email me there, Jennifer, get in contact and I'll be sure to get back to you. Fingers crossed, hopefully I'll be back in the office as of tomorrow. So yeah. All right then, everyone. Have a wonderful day. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you all next week. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye. Yamil, I will be sharing everything via email. So yeah, you will receive the email for everything. And all the links and such. That's all right. Take care, everyone.